Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Other Choice podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany, and today with me I have Jim Sprague, who is the CEO of Pregnancy Resource Center of Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you so much for being here today and just being willing to hop on this episode and tell us about all the incredible work you guys are doing.
Well, I thank you. I always want to accept an invitation to talk about the incredible work that we're doing at PRC.
So starting off with the first question, I would just like to know about some of the work you guys have been doing in the last couple months and what specifically PRC Grand Rapids, what your contribution is to the pro-life movement.
Yeah, sure. So PRC Grand Rapids has been around 40 years. We started in 1985. Probably before you were around, Tiffany.
Probably.
I'm just guessing, but I was there. My wife was there. My wife was actually on the board of directors back in '85 when she and I got married, and so the ministry and my marriage are both in their 40th year. So that's pretty exciting. Pregnancy Resource Center of Grand Rapids is our official name, and what we've been doing in terms of a rebrand or just kind of how we talk about ourselves is PRC Grand Rapids. And the reason for that is we have a mission and a mission statement, which is to live the truth that people matter to God. Live the truth, capital T, that people matter and that they matter to God. And then we do that in the P, the R, the C, proactive education, responsive medical care, and compassionate support services. So that has become a real, I think, sticky way, if you will, to talk about what is it you do at PRC. Well, we have this proactive education side. We'll see 16 to 17,000 students every year, every school year in our sexual risk avoidance classes, both here in Kent County and surrounding West Michigan districts, but also across the state with other pregnancy centers that have been trained as colleagues to teach our curriculum called Willing to Wait. And actually around the country, and then we're in 4 countries around the world. So when you add it all up, every year we have a significant impact. And the reason we started that 30 years ago was we realized that a lot of women in particular, but the men and women that we were seeing really were lacking in education about sex and relationships. And so we do that program in schools and in churches. We're educating young people in upper elementary, middle school, high school, and in other venues as well, but including churches where parents and youth groups can also receive our curriculum with a biblically based foundation there in those Christian settings. And then the R is responsive medical care. So the P, the proactive side, is we'd like to see a woman not in an unplanned pregnancy so that she's, looking for those resources, but we know that we have to be there to respond to her when that does happen. And it does happen. This year in our medical services program, we've seen to date 241 life decisions, which is big. I'm thinking about our annual dinner, and we had a speaker who speaks at a lot of pregnancy centers. He came last year, and we were, and still are, hoping to see 300 lives saved in a single year. And he said, for an organization like PRC's, to be thinking about 300 life decisions is phenomenal, because I speak, he said, at pregnancy centers all across the country, and an annual number is more likely to be about 30. So the reach that the Lord's given us, the opportunities that the Lord's given us to see anywhere from 250 to 300 life decisions in a year in our responsive medical care is truly phenomenal. That's where we're doing pregnancy testing, ultrasound. We do STD testing and treatment for our female clients. And then the C, of course, is compassionate support services. And that's the part, Tiffany, I know you wanted to talk about this, because there's sort of this zombie argument, right? This argument that won't die out there from the pro-abortion side that says, oh, you're only there for the baby. You're not really there for the mom or for the family. Well, not a mile from where we're sitting right now is PRC's Compassionate Support Services office. it's another 5,000 square feet of staff in counseling rooms, but also about a third of that is a warehouse and a shopping area for moms. So as they make a life decision, we need to walk with them when they do. I think it's irresponsible to be in a place where you are saying and encouraging and wanting to see women in an unplanned pregnancy make a life decision and then not be there to walk with them when they do. So that's what the C is, Compassionate Support Services. Because in Michigan, she might, at our downtown office in the responsive medical care program, she might make a life decision today, but in Michigan, she can make an abortion decision tomorrow, and the week after that, and the month after that, all the way up to full term. So we know we want to stay close to these moms and resource them, because the pressures to consider abortion in the first place, a lot of them are still there. And so we want to continue to walk with her. And then ultimately what we do in the C, the Compassionate Support Services, is get her plugged into a church. We can't be the church. We want the church to be the church. And so we have a number of churches in the region who have been trained as colleagues in our Cradles of Grace curriculum and a program that goes into churches. So imagine moms that live in the geographic area of where you go to church, coming once a week together. So there's community for them, like other moms that are going through same life stages with their children, and wrestling work and home life, cooking meals, all of that stuff. And they have a community, and then their kids get taken care of. They get a meal that they didn't have to plan, prepare, or clean up after, and then we can pour into them with the Word of God, and so we can grow them. And you know, when they decide to go to church somewhere, where are they going to go? They're going to go where they already know where the nursery is. They know some people there, and it's a familiar environment. And we have seen churches not only embrace the Cradles of Grace program, but also then receive some of those moms, those families. I heard recently of an engagement, you know, where they're realizing what it means to be father and mother, but the impact that it would be to be husband and wife. And build family, and then grow that family in a church. So this is the broad range of things that happen at PRC Grand Rapids.
Wow, that is incredible to hear. Yeah, so much packed in that answer, and so much incredible work. And I love that you guys are working hard to create a just compassionate and loving community for pregnant women to come and receive help, and for families.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier about educating our young people. That is so important to us as well. Here at Right to Life of Michigan, we actually have a program called My Gen Leads, where we are going out to high school and eventually college campuses, and we're talking with our youngest generations. Nice. Just about the importance of choosing life, and just giving resources to anyone who may be in that situation.
Yeah, so important. Good.
Yeah. I would also like to know, I know Right to Life and PRCGR work closely together, and we have a lot of similarities, but we also work in some other areas that are separate in the pro-life movement. How do you see that collaboration working best right now, especially here in Michigan?
Yeah, I think to frame my answer, I would say first let's draw a line through the Dobbs decision. Right. So when Dobbs overturned Roe, if you go prior to that, I think that you saw Right to Life and the Pregnancy Center work sort of running in separate lanes. Right. So I used to talk often about how grateful we were for Right to Life being in that legislative lane. Frankly, so I didn't have to be, right? Because that's a whole different set of skills, knowledge, engagement, relationships, and time that goes into fashioning, impacting, shaping law that would protect life. But it's so important, so there's no question that pro-life laws save women a lot of tragedy of going through an abortion, but obviously the child itself from abortion. So we loved that Right to Life was so effective at lobbying for good pro-life laws, while we could, in the other lane, in the Pregnancy Center work, do our job of meeting her where she's at, and as I just went through, being the P and the R and the C to her, and resourcing her, and helping her make a life decision, and supporting her when she does. Now, then if you look at Dobbs and then cross over to, after Dobbs, we now have in many states, we have codified abortion rights, and we certainly did that in Michigan with Prop 3. And so in our state constitution, there's a right to an abortion, and then a lot of the work that Right to Life of Michigan had done was just wiped off the books in the healthcare, the Reproductive Health Care Act. And now what that has meant is that we have to work closer together than ever before. I used to enjoy the fact that I didn't have to spend a lot of time understanding what pro-life laws are out there, what anti-life, what pro-abortion laws are out there. But now I don't have that, can we call it a luxury? I don't have that luxury anymore. So I need to be knowledgeable about that. I need to be able to speak about that. And I'm so grateful for the partnership that we've had with Right to Life. I was just in a meeting with Amber Roseboom about this, because it didn't always used to be that way. And I'm so grateful now that there is a Michigan coalition of pregnancy centers. In addition to my role at PRC Grand Rapids, I'm state director for the Michigan Coalition of Pregnancy Wellness. And so I work with Genevieve Marnin down in Lansing. I talk with Amber Roseboom quite often, so that we're aware of what is happening there, what potentially could happen, and how it could affect the work in pregnancy centers. And then I'm also finding that we then are a resource for them as they're thinking about meeting with legislators. So I think we really have these two lanes have come together to where they're, train tracks, right? It's really the same path. There's just a different rail there, but we need both. So because one is equipping and resourcing pregnancy centers, and the other is the actual implementation. When I go to a Right to Life dinner, and I love to go to those events, and they talk about the number of lives that they saved, and I'm always like, well, yeah, that's us. Yeah. So when we talk about how grateful we are for a pro-life law, the potential of a pro-life law, I go, yeah, that's what Right to Life is doing. So I don't think the partnership has ever been stronger than it is today.
Yes, absolutely. And all of our PRCs are really our feet on the ground here at Right to Life, and you guys are just doing that amazing work of reaching out to women and providing them with those resources. And we here at Right to Life in Michigan are also working on our state laws, and trying to make as much of an impact and a difference as we can.
Yeah.
I would like to touch back on something that was said earlier. We were talking about a common misconception is a lot of people say that PRCs and even Right to Life of Michigan and other pro-life organizations are just pro-birth, and we're not actually pro-life. But how would you go about addressing that with pregnant women or families or anyone who is assuming that about our organizations?
Well, I think the short answer, Tiffany, is they need to get their facts straight.
Yeah.
Because that's just not the case. I mean, those of us that are doing the work in a pregnancy center, we just kind of shake our heads in amazement at a statement like that. And that's why earlier I called it a zombie argument. It's like, well, I don't know where you dug that up and why it's still breathing, but nothing could be farther from the truth. It's a third of our focus at the pregnancy center. We want to reach her first and help her make a life decision, but we're walking with her every step of the way, because she can choose abortion tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so last thing we want to do is leave her unresourced and feeling like she's still alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that you have seen a lot of stories and you've had a lot of experiences of people that you've worked with experiencing redemption, and you talked about that compassionate care that's based on biblical truth. Is there a time or an experience that you can think of that pops in your head that really stands out to you, that kind of makes you feel like this is why I was placed in this work?
Yeah. Well, there are actually about 5,600 stories of women who made life decisions over the 40 years at PRC. And every one of them is incredibly unique and incredibly courageous. But things kind of skinny down when you get to the number of women who would be willing to tell their story, to go on camera, or have it be recorded and sent out in a podcast or a newsletter or something, because it starts out with, well, I was going to have an abortion, and when it ends in life, you kind of don't want to tell that part of the story anymore. So I'm always amazed whenever we have a woman who comes forward and says, I get it. It's important for me to tell this story, so that other women relate to it and hopefully hear it before they, enter that decision. And one such woman is Emery. And the reason I want to talk about Emery is that she just spoke at the March for Life rally. But I don't know how much, I saw you that day and you were running around like a chicken with your head cut off and really busy. So you may not have caught all the details of Emery's story. Yeah. So let me just bring that forward in an abbreviated way. Emery was a college athlete, and she was scholarshiped to go to a Christian college here in West Michigan and play volleyball. Okay. And this particular coach loved PRC, still does, and this coach would bring every year his athletes through PRC. So they would mop and vacuum and mop our floors, clean our toilets, empty the trash, make things look really, really nice. But he knew it wasn't about cleaning our building. It was about the moment where one of our team members would say, well, this is what happens in this place. Mm-hmm. Women who are pregnant and didn't plan on being, or maybe they're afraid and they don't know what to do next, they come here and they get shown the love of Christ, maybe without ever identifying it that way, right? Who was it? Was it Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel at all times, sometimes use words, And so here we are honoring her, walking with her, meeting her need, and resourcing her. And Emery was in that group. And she thought, well, that's really cool that they do that. What she didn't know at that time was she was 4 weeks pregnant. While she was at PRC, she hadn't discovered that yet. And so she was aware of that about 2 weeks later than coming to PRC. So she's about 6 weeks along. And then she remembered PRC. And so she reached out to us. And the rest of the story is we came alongside her without judgment. She and her boyfriend chose life. And what you probably do remember about Emery's story on the steps of the Capitol in Lansing a couple weeks ago is that she turned to the wings where her husband and all 5 now of her children came out to the podium to surround her. And I'll never forget the warm burst of applause that happened in that moment when she said, not only did I choose life then, we've continued to grow our family and God has blessed us, but I don't know what I would have done had PRC not been there, because I was praying for a miscarriage. Yeah. And she didn't say it outright, but I'm sure in the back of her mind at least was the thought of, if I don't have a miscarriage, maybe I ought to terminate this pregnancy because I'm going to lose my volleyball scholarship. I'm going to embarrass my family. I'm going to embarrass my Christian institution that I'm representing on the court and everything. And but God had bigger plans that included life. And isn't he always in the business of taking our messes and making them a message? Yes,
that's just an amazing story of redemption. And just choosing life and seeing how God works miracles in people's lives and can take any situation and use it for good. If we let him. Yes, exactly. So we have a little thing in our episodes where we have kind of a fun question that's outside of just work questions. And I want to know, outside of your work at PRC and advocating for life, what is a go-to hobby or something that you really enjoy that keeps you grounded during this type of work?
Well, a couple things come to mind. I like to work with my hands, so I've been real handy around the house doing some updating. Our house was in need of some updating. So 2 summers ago, we jumped into the kitchen and did, cabinetry and backsplash and countertop and all of that stuff. And my wife said, well, that's going good. Why don't you take on the downstairs bathroom next? And so we just did a shower, and
Nice.
and then it got into flooring, and now we're doing the whole flooring and painting and updating everything. So that's very, very recent. But consistently over the years, what keeps me grounded, I like that you use that word, what keeps me grounded more than anything is backpacking.
Yeah.
I like to be in the wilderness, stripped down of everything modern, and even turning off the phone and just being completely unplugged. I especially enjoy backpacking in the UP. It's just nothing like it, and but that's a big event. You have to plan for it, and you get a group to go, and you got to take the time off. I think on a more active or regular level, I like to read. I read just about everything by the novels by John Grisham.
Yeah.
And Lee Child wrote the Jack Reacher series, and I think I've read every one of those books too. So those are some things I like to do aside from just being with my family.
Yeah, that's amazing. I also love reading, so I agree with you on that one. As far as backpacking, you said up in the UP.
Yeah.
Do you like going other places in the country, or do you like staying within state?
Well, I have a group. There's another dad and a few other dads, and we kind of call it the Dads and Lads, weekend. And so in Michigan, you can tack on a Friday and a Monday and get quite a bit of backpacking in.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done the trifecta. That was our goal. The UP trifecta was Pictured Rocks, Isle Royal, and the Porcupine Mountains. So we did all of those in 3 consecutive summers. And then what we're trying to pull off right now is a section of the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, very nice.
2 summers ago, we did the Red River Gorge in Kentucky in July. Do not recommend. It's very hot and humid. Unless, of course, you're a Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger and you want to train for military action in a rainforest somewhere. But it's down in a gorge, so you get no wind, and the humidity is like 99%, and the temperature is about 99 degrees. And I think I lost about 8 pounds that week. Just sorry to be blunt about it, but just sweating it out. It was miserable, but
Wow.
a beautiful area. But probably better to go like in September or October.
Yeah, go in the cooler months, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, and thank you for all the information you've shared. And I would just like to know, on a last note, what is something that you would like to leave our viewers and our listeners with, or just a call to action about the pro-life movement?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you're watching this podcast, either this episode or watching the podcast over time, congrats, because you're educating yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important. The other side, you know what, Tiffany, this might be a bombshell, but they don't always tell the truth.
Yeah.
And you really have to pursue that. And what I'm thinking about in particular is how the landscape of abortion has changed. I've been at PRC Grand Rapids almost 25 years now. And in 2001, when I started, the abortion pill was 5 or 6% of the number of abortions. Today, it's 63 to 72% of all abortions. It's higher at 9 weeks and under. Mm-hmm. So the earlier abortions are now almost 3/4 of the time are the abortion pill. And here's the thing. We're not hearing the truth about the effects of the abortion pill on women.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned about that. And for a group that is screaming at the top of their lungs, this is women's health care, I just, again, my head goes askew, and I go, no, it's not. Because you can get that pill now without any medical oversight, without any instruction, and without any follow-up.
Yeah.
And so often the bait is, take this pill, it's safer than Tylenol, is a tagline that they've used, and you can have your abortion this weekend, maybe while your parents are out of town, or whatever, in the privacy of your own home. So the impact of abortion coming home, I don't think we've really thought through.
Yeah.
Because in the past, by and large, a woman had to go to another address to have her abortion. Now just think psychologically for a minute. If I'm going downtown, I don't have to go past the abortion clinic where I had my procedure. I might decide I don't want to be triggered by that, or just subconsciously I go a different way now because I don't even want to drive by that building.
Mm-hmm.
But when abortion comes home, Tiffany, you can't avoid that address.
Yeah.
You can't avoid, and if I can be, blunt about it, using your own bathroom at home where that abortion happened. And whereas before you didn't have to look your abortion provider in the eye, now you look at her every morning in the mirror when you brush your teeth or put on your makeup or brush your hair.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've thought about the psychological impact of that. Not to mention, if we've got 75% of abortions in our wastewater treatment, what is that doing? And in our water purification, and so these are questions that I have. So I think I would want to just leave people with this progress, or this progressive nature of the abortion industry moving us toward the abortion pill is anything but healthcare, anything but good for women in particular. So it goes back to the earlier argument. We have abortion up to full term in Michigan, but I don't think we've thought through who's walking with her as she's doing these self-guided, at-home, unsupervised, and we need to care for her. So she still has a choice to abort her baby, unfortunately, but we need to help her understand that even after that point, something remains.
Yeah.
Something remains, and it's the guilt, it's the triggers that I mentioned, it's this overwhelming weight of regret that I don't think we've thought through. And the other side is going to tell you you can't reverse your abortion once it starts. That is not true. And can I tell you that the Abortion Pill Reversal Network is effective? Over 7,000 babies now have been born as a result of the Abortion Pill Reversal Network, and these babies are perfectly fine. The birth defects are far lower than in the general population for any pregnancy, and it works 2/3 of the time. We had our first one in the last few months, our first one at PRC Grand Rapids. So these are women who started the abortion pill process. And before they, the first one shuts off progesterone, the second pill starts contractions. If between taking the first pill and the second pill you change your mind, we can introduce high dosages of progesterone, which is exactly the procedure that high-risk pregnancies have followed for 90 years.
Yeah.
So I would want your listeners to understand, if it comes to abortion pill and abortion pill reversal, follow the science. The science is that we have been treating high-risk pregnancies, which is what's happening in an abortion pill, is we're shutting off progesterone, and a lot of women have miscarried because they're not producing enough progesterone. So for 90 years, we've been supplementing that. That same procedure is rescuing babies that were once going to be aborted. I think that's incredible. And so I would want people to pursue the truth, because the other side is going to say, those guys are wacky, that's false science. And in fact, in New Jersey, they're being sued. One pregnancy center is being sued because they're advancing the abortion pill reversal network on their website.
Yeah.
We are too. And that attorney general in New Jersey is going after that pregnancy center, so pray for us.
Yeah.
Because do you think the attorney general in Michigan wouldn't like to go after a pregnancy center because they're promoting that? But we're watching that case very closely, and I believe if it goes to the Supreme Court, it will win.
Yeah.
And that'll be a good thing for all of us, and it'll be a good thing for women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even in the bigger picture too, the dark is always going to attack the light. That's why we see all of these cases of pregnancy resource centers, just getting attacked. And it is also spiritual warfare, I would say too. And just speaking from a point of, we do this work because of our faith, but like you said, it's also the science. That right there just proves that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, they can go after us, but I feel like God always does his Holy Ghost ninja move. Like when they think they're going to go after you, he's like, yeah, you're playing right into my hands, and now the truth is going to be illuminated. And that's what I think is going to happen in this whole APRN case.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, we will be praying, and we hope that is the outcome for sure. Well, thank you again so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Speaking about everything with PRCGR and what's to come in the future.
Good. Let's do it again.
Yes, of course.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Yes. Make sure to tune in every other Friday for a brand new episode of the Other Choice podcast. And until next time, I'm your host, Tiffany, and this is The Other Choice.